What's going on, guys? How are you today? Hope you guys are having an amazing day. Sorry for the delay. Yes. I seem to be one of the victims of being on CP time. Case for you guys that are not familiar with that term, that is color people time. And we all know how much we all know how the blacks are very tardy with time, which is one of the reasons why if I ever have to invite the blacks anywhere, I would normally uh, ask them. I mean, I would normally make up a time, or I'll normally give them an opportunity to where they can arrive at the event about 2 hours early because I can expect the blacks to be at least 2 hours late. Amazing. But how are you guys doing? I hope your Monday is swell. My Monday was well. I was able to get a nice workout in, ran some errands, and now I'm here with you guys. And for the ones that want to tune in, um, I'm more than happy for you guys to tune in because you could be anywhere else in this world, and if you allow me to garner your attention, even if it's for a minute, it's well appreciative because again, you guys do not owe me your attention. So anyone that's willing to tune in, I'm happy and grateful for it. I left the the link in the comments section if you guys want to tune in into the show and be a part of the show. I'm more than happy for that as well. This broadcast probably won't go any more than an hour, um, so if you're willing to tune in, that is the expected duration for this particular broadcast. So without further ado, let's do this. Amazing. So obviously, if you for those of you that are tuning in, the topic is U.S. celebrating losers, uh, crime out of control, um, and I am going to dish out the D.I.E award, the Die Award. Now, I'm not giving out a particular. I mean, I'm not actually giving out a die award for someone to die. It just so happens that the acronym happened to um, spell out the word die. But in case if you guys are, in case if you wanted to know the true meaning towards the acronym die, the Die Award is for diversity, inclusion, and equity because that seems to be the name of the game that the Biden administration loves to play. So I figured since they love to play it, heck, um, why not? Why not reward? Why not play along and reward the very people that would fit the bar for the Die Award? So I figured I would give that out. And I believe that's going to be something that I'm planning on doing every single week when I start my broadcast. Amazing. It is amazing. Um, but here we are. So um I wanted to start this broadcast by saying that America is clearly in a rut. We seem not to know um what is the right way of doing things in this great country and what is the most ridiculous way of doing things in this great country. Um, when the great white hope Donald Trump was in office, um, America was well respected. You may not have liked the great white hope, but you respected what he was able to do with this very country. He wanted this country to be respected among other nations, and it was. It definitely was. Um, Whereas today, this country is a parody because of the very people that are in charge of running this free country. Joe Biden is nothing but a gaffe. He's a gaffe every single time he talks. He's a gaffe every single time he walks. Every single policy seems to be for supporting. It's every single policy that he puts out seems to be for supporting political correctness, as opposed of supporting the very rights of the constituents that he is supposed to serve in this country. Everything is politically driven, politically ran. I mean, you can have a tragic mass shooting that resulted in the loss of life, and Joe Biden will find some way to make it political. He wants to use he will always try to find that way to make it political as opposed of trying to acknowledge the tragedy that occurred. And the reason why he's doing that is because he wants to get his political point across. He wants to get his political agenda along with the agenda of the Democratic Party across, because that seems to matter more than the rights and the needs of the American people. So, because of that, this is why you have um, a president who has made America the laughing stock of the world. Case in point, just recently, um, Simone Biles and Megan Rapinoe were rewarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom Award. That's what it was. The Presidential Medal of Freedom Award. It is the highest. I mean, it is the highest reward for civilian acts among this country that you can receive as a private citizen. And Joe Biden rewarded Simone Biles with that type of reward. Now, in case you guys are unfamiliar with Simone Biles is a well decorated U.S. Olympian, but she was a woman who quit last year in the Olympics. She practically quit on her teammates, she quit on her country, and then a year later, she gets rewarded with the highest civilian reward in this country. Megan Rapinoe, she was rewarded with the highest civility with the highest reward with the highest civility reward of this nation. Can anyone tell me why she's being rewarded for this? No, that's a serious question. Why is she being rewarded with the highest civility? I mean, with the highest civility reward of the nation. What did Megan Rapone do for her to even qualify to obtain this type of reward? Well, I'm going to tell you right now why she received this reward. Okay, Megan Rapone received this reward because number one, she's a woman, and number two, she's a lesbian. That's the whole reason why she received that award. Okay. So Megan Rapone checks off all three of the boxes needed for the D.I.E Award: diversity, inclusion, and equity. All right. Diversity. Megan Rapone is a woman. Number two, she is a lesbian. Okay. So that is inclusion because obviously you cannot have inclusion without including the homosexuals in any part um, of anything that you're doing, whether it's business, whether it's events. You got to have the token homosexual in that group in order for you to be inclusive. And inequity, the right for women to have something that they didn't earn because she was the one to stand out and state that women should be paid as much as men. Never mind the fact that women do not bring in the same type of eyeballs, the same type of attraction, and the same type of revenue as men. No, we do the same thing as men. We should be paid the same as men. Equity. And they obliged because Megan Rapine is already, she's a woman, she's a homosexual, and she's demanding for equity. Okay. Well, you already checked off those two marks, so why not give the third? And that's exactly what they did. Now, Simone Biles, same thing. All right. Simone Biles is black and she's a woman. And she has mental issues, or she had mental issues at the time that she was competing in the Summer Olympics. She checks off the boxes. All right. Diversity. She's a woman. Let her in. Actually, diversity. She's black. I'm sorry. She's black. Let her in. Inclusive. She's a woman. Gotta let her in. And number three, equity. Because we have to give people with people that are solving or trying to solve their mental issues. We have to give them. We have to let them in. So she checks off all three boxes. Okay. And if you don't believe me, as far as these women being able to earn the Die Award, take a look at this.
Celebrating an incomparable lineup of legends.
This is America.
The most decorated U.S. gymnast of all time, Simone Biles, adding to her medal count. At 25, becoming the youngest ever recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The superstar honored for how she found balance as an advocate for sexual assault victims and mental health.
It is the best award you could receive for your whole life. So now it's kind of scary, like, oh, what do I do now?
Soccer sensation Megan Rapinoe recognized for achieving another goal.
Equal pay for women.
Uh, so you see it right there. You seen it. You heard it with your very own eyes. You seen it. You seen it with your very own eyes, and you heard it with your very own ears. Amazing. So keep in mind, Simone Biles, she's a black woman. She's black. She black. She's black. She is a female, and she's dealing with mental health. She wins the Die Award. And because of that, that's the reason why she was rewarded the highest reward in the highest civilian reward in the land. All right. That's what that reward is meant for. It's not a real reward. I mean, it's a reward that, thanks to the Biden administration, is now more of a participation trophy as long as you fit the Die Award. All right. As long as you are black, a female, a homosexual, If you are dealing with mental health, you will get the Die Award. But here's the truth of the matter: Simone Biles is a quitter. She quit. This woman quit. She quit on her teammates, she quit on her country, and she's being rewarded for that. Why, since when in this country have we rewarded quitters? This woman is a quitter. She's a loser. Simone Biles is a loser. But now losing all of a sudden is winning in America. This is the reason why America's going down the tubes. Megan Rapone, why is she getting a reward? I'll tell you why. Because she's a woman and she's a lesbian. That's went in and she started protesting about she wanted to be a social justice warrior. She would kneel before the flag. She's a supporter of Black Lives Matter, a far left, radical, evil, agitated group that was founded by a bunch of fat black radical lesbians. So I guess that makes sense. Megan Rapone is a lesbian and she's supporting a group that was founded by lesbians. There you are. So, as so-called social justice activists decides to play the role of an activist, and all of a sudden she gets rewarded the highest civilian reward of the land. It is a joke. This woman is also a joke herself. It's also the same woman that claimed that women should get the same equal pay as men. Never mind the fact that women do not bring the same type of attention, the same type of revenue as men. However, she should get the same type of however, women should get the same type of revenue as men. Amazing. Here is Dawn Parker putting in, let me just put that right here. Dawn Parker, appreciate you for coming into the show. She says it's a damn shame, isn't it? It's true. It is so true that we are rewarding people based on political correctness as opposed of rewarding people for true actions. As opposed to rewarding people for things that they truly should have earned. What a mess. And this is something that is going to continue to reparate throughout. This is the reason why these awards don't mean anything. When the great white hope Donald Trump rewarded Rush Limbaugh with the same reward, that meant something. Rush Limbaugh was a person who was able to speak the truth, even though he was persecuted for it by the public. Um, but this is the truth. He spoke the truth, and because he spoke the truth, that is the reason why, he was rewarded that the highest reward of the land. This was a man who stood for freedom of the people, and he spoke about how Americans need to be proud of the very country that gives them the opportunity to to express themselves freely, as long as they're not speaking about killing, as long as they're not speaking about harming or killing another person. It's a mess, but this is what this is this is the type of country that we're heading towards. This is what we're heading towards because of the type of leadership that we had. The big difference when we had the great white hope Donald Trump was the fact that Donald Trump stood for our constitutional rights. The big difference that we have with Joe Biden is willing to play the role of trying to appease the party that wants to oppress us and oppress our rights. And Dawn Parker, once again, coming out with another statement. Let me read this. OMG, hi, I almost dropped my phone when you called my name. Amazing. I appreciate you, Dawn. Thank you so much. Um, Dawn Parker also said, truth hurts even if we don't like it, and people have lost their pride. Um, so true. One of the things that we have lost, and one of the things that that is not really that you really don't hear amongst most Americans is patriotism. Patriotism. You don't hear it much. You're not hearing it, especially through this administration. They're literally telling you that 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 July or almost treating the Fourth of July as almost as if it's something that really shouldn't be celebrated at all. They're using these mass shootings that were created by troubled people as a reason to want to suppress our rights to own guns. But keep in mind, they're not coming up with any type of solution to take away the very people that are committing these violent crimes in the first place, which are the criminals. They're not willing to try to take away the criminals' guns, but they're trying to take away our rights to own guns. Because remember, the gun is the issue. All right. According to the Biden administration, the gun is the issue because a gun can pick itself up, aim it at someone, and kill somebody with it. It's the gun that's the issue, not the people. But I wanted to put that out there because I wanted to put what I initially uh, raised raised about, with the um with the highest reward that that you can get in the land as a private civilian that's rewarded by the president, a reason to say that these things don't mean anything. They have zero meaning because the very people that are being rewarded this um have no reason to even get this award in the first place. I mean, you're rewarding Simone Biles, a quitter, a person who quit on our country. Why in the world will she ever get the Medal of Freedom award? For what? For what? She's a loser. She has the mentality of a beta. She's a beta female. If you were to put her in the same position as a man, she would be considered a beta male. But because she's a woman and because she's black and because she's dealing with mental health, that she's given a pass. So when the going gets tough, you just walk away and quit. What type of message are we giving to our people, to our American people? Because to live the American dream, it's going to be tough. It's going to be rough. So you're telling them that the American dream cannot be sustainable if you just get up and quit? Or are we saying that we should just give people the American dream? What type of message are we really giving to the up and coming American people that are looking at these very people? Because they're the ones that are really on camera. Simone Biles being given an award that that doesn't fit her actions. Megan Rapone given a reward for what? For being a social, just being a social justice warrior, a woman that's claiming that she is oppressed and willing to stand against America, the same America that put her in a position to become a 1% earner in this country. Amazing. That's what they say. That it's they claim anti-American, until they really need America for their help. Just like Brittany Reiner is doing right now in Russia. Another woman, another spoiled, rotten brat who, excuse me, who because of America, she was allowed to become a 1% earner in this very country. She winds up going to Russia, and she gets detained for bringing weed in that very country. The very country which, by the way, she stood against. She refused to play. She refused to want um, the WNBA to play the national anthem. She was the one um, who claimed that she was oppressed in a free country. Can anyone explain how you can be oppressed in a free country? That's what Brittany Griner did. You're talking about the very country that allowed you to have a a um a so-called wife, a country that allowed you to be married to another woman and consider yourselves married, even though there's nothing in the Constitution that states that same that would reward same-sex marriage to a male or female. Really? The very country that allowed you to do such an act, even though it's not written in the Constitution, the very country that allowed you to become a 1% earner in this country, you claim to be oppressed? Hmm. But now she is being detained in Russia, and she's asking the Biden administration to bail her out. She actually wrote a letter to Joe Biden, the great white dope, our current president, asking Joe Biden if he can help her get out of Russia. Amazing. But wait a minute. Why would she ask for help in a country that is oppressing her? My. The hypocrisy. I guess she has selective oppression. So I guess America is only oppressed when it fits her narrative. Amazing. Um, right now she already pleaded guilty to the crime because she knew she did what she did. And to be quite honest with you, um, if I were Russia, you know what I mean, I would ask for a king's ransom for her release. But to be quite honest with you, I'm too much of a patriot to even try to aid Russia in this. The only thing I have to say is whatever happens, whatever Russia wants to do with her, that's up to them. I mean, if she did the crime, exactly. Thank you very much, Dawn Parker. Thank you very much. Selective oppression, oppression, oppression when it fits her narrative. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Selective oppression. Amazing. But whatever Russia wants to do with her, it's up to them. Me personally, if I were the president of the United States, I'm honestly I'm not even getting involved in that. Um, there are true political prisoners that are in prison for political reasons. Brittany Griner's reason is not political. She really did break the law. She must have thought that Russia was America. Amazing. If she didn't know, she should have known. All right. Just as how if you were to be incarcerated for a crime, or if you were to be booked for a crime here in America, uh just some judges, especially conservative justice judges, will tell you ignorance of the law is not an excuse. If you're trying to use ignorance as a reason to get out, they'll be the first ones to tell you that ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Well, one can assume that that something that's still as taboo as drugs would be considered should be considered illegal immediately, even if you didn't know the law, even if you didn't know the laws of Russia. Um, drugs, while it's free, and while some states have decriminalized drugs in certain states in America, one one being Oregon, it's still not widely accepted worldwide. So one should always assume that drugs is still a taboo subject. And if you even think about sneaking in anything, that you can get in trouble for it. Keep in mind that's what they have customs for. Whenever you hop out, and whenever you get in an airport, or wherever you leave the airport, they have customs there to, to check to see if you're smuggling anything within the country. So why wouldn't one assume that if you bring in something illicit that you may not get caught for it? And Brittany Griner's learning the hard way. She's now understanding what true oppression is. And hey, I don't wish, I don't wish anything. I wouldn't wish anything on her. However, she if she broke the law, she broke the law. And and she should pay the price for it. And if she does, then she'll understand what true oppression is. Maybe if in fact she is, she is convicted, because although she did put in a guilty plea, the trial is still going on. If in fact she does, if in fact she is found guilty and she has to spend hard time in prison, maybe when she gets out she'll be singing a different tune. But but it shouldn't have to get to that point for her to truly understand what it is to be an American. But sometimes these are the very things that have to happen. Dawn Parker with another statement. I'm gonna read your statements as we go by. So Dawn Parker puts, she is arrogant to believe that Russia will treat her special. Now they want to trade a world arms dealer for a basketball player. I've heard about that. I have heard about that. And obviously Russia is going to play hardball. Think about it. All right. Um, Russia knows that they have one of our people. All right. Although she's a person that is anti-American, she is from America. Russia knows that they have one of our people. And keep in mind, um, America used Ukraine to attack Russia. You don't think Russia is going to try to get us back for that? Of course they will. Now, once again, if I were the president of the United States, I'm not even getting involved in this. You know what I mean? Because Brittany Griner is truly not a political prisoner. That woman is a prisoner who committed a crime on foreign soil. So she made her bed, so shall she lie in it. Here is another statement from Cala, Cataclysmic Biscuit. As someone who uses cannabis for chronic pain, I think it's wrong that it's a crime to possess anywhere. But I agree, she should have known better. Absolutely, 100%. Again, ignorance of the law is not an excuse. While it may be, while it's legal here for the most part, for most states, all right, one has to assume it is illegal in other countries. And it's up to you to understand what the laws of these other countries are, especially if you plan on visiting them. Here's Dawn Parker again. Those arms killed many real oppressed people. How about that, Dawn? And yet, they are going to, and yet they're thinking about trying to trade a person who, they're thinking about trying to trade a drug addict in for a person who who is considered a dangerous person. Amazing. If America makes if America makes this type of deal, they will live to regret that. They will live to regret it. They need to understand that Brittany Griner is not a political prisoner. She is a prisoner, a well-deserved prisoner who's getting exactly what she deserves. Here's another statement from Catal- cataclysmic biscuit. But if she gets out, I do hope it makes her grateful to live in America and the freedoms that it has. I hope so too. Honestly, I think regardless of whether she gets out or not, I think her view of America will be a lot more different than it was before. Keep in mind, she's one of these typical um victims that had that victim mentality. And truth be told, I think this will make her realize now that America is not your enemy, and that the only victim here is is her ignorance. She's a victim of her own ignorance. But I think now this ordeal will make her think twice about doubting the very country that gave her the rights and the privileges that she wouldn't get in any other country, including the right to smoke marijuana. I mean, even in some states, smoking marijuana would be considered a misdemeanor, which will involve very little to no prison time at all. Whereas in Russia, she's looking at 10 years in prison for being a dopehead. Amazing. Here is Dawn Parker again. We are watching the Olympics of victimhood. Dawn, I couldn't agree with you anymore. Couldn't agree with you. This is what we're watching in our very country. And you have people taking this country for granted. But Dawn, I have a solution. All right. See, what all of these people, these all of these spoiled brats need to do, because I kind of blame America for this, because um we have been such a lenient country. We have practically accepted everything in this country. And we've kind of gotten away with what made this country great. The fact that this country was founded by Christianity. Yes, you can exercise any religion that you want in this country, but it was Christianity that brought this country together. It's what united this country. This is what made this country great, because Christianity is the only religion that I know that holds people accountable for their actions. And if people were Christians, they were real Christians, they will hold themselves accountable for the very actions that they're committing. But because we have gotten away from Christianity, you get these type of behaviors. But true, so true, Dawn Parker. The Olympics of victimhood is something that we're getting so much. This is the reason why you have radical groups like Black Lives Matter, which wants to make everything about how, first of all, how anti-American can you get with Black Lives Matter? You're talking about a group of blacks who believe that white people are the problem in America. When truth be told, it is themselves that are the problem in America. The fact that they are believing that that they are the true victims and that it is the white man's fault. It's white people's fault. It is. I mean, you can't get any more anti-American than that. Black Lives Matter. Another victim mentality that we have in this country that granted the rights for all people, for all US citizens born in this country. And yet you have something as divisive as Black Lives Matter. An idea that it's white people that are oppressing you in this very country. How how insane is that? How insane is that considering the fact that the founder of Black Lives Matter, Patrice Cullors, bought bought about $10 million worth of properties that are in affluent, gated white communities. But she's so down with her people that she wants to buy, that she went in and she used $90 million that they raised in 2020 to buy properties in white, affluent, gated communities. Amazing. Amazing. Here it's going again. Patience, but God only gave us two cheeks. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Couldn't agree with you more there. And then here is cataclysmic. Mr. Biscuit. It's fine that Christianity was a good base for values back then, but I certainly don't think it should be the base for lawmaking today, as it does try to normalize, as it tries to normal things like criminalize homosexuality. Um, well, Mr. Biscuit, let me ask you a question. Uh, in what way does homosexuality? Hold on one second. In what way does homosexuality advance this country? I mean, can you reproduce with homosexuality? Can two men and two women reproduce a child with homosexuality? And what does homosexuality really represent? What is its main basis? I mean, is it representing morality or is it representing immorality? Is it really about love or is it about sex? Because you can't procreate with homosexuals. So what is it really all about? Yeah. Clearly, the latter would be that they are promoting sex, deviant, perverted sex, which is fine, but it's just something that should be promoted among um, other people. Should people be able to adapt this type of lifestyle? Should this type of lifestyle be promoted among children? You know, homosexuality is a alternative lifestyle. I mean, if you want to be a homosexual, by all means, knock yourself out. But you should be at a certain age, um, to be able to even, I mean, to be involved in something like that. Should we be putting that towards our children? That's the number one question that we need to ask. Let me come here. There's a lot of comments. This is nice. This again from Cataclysmic Biscuit. I'll call you Mrs. Biscuit because I've seen Mrs. Biscuit in one of your comments. Black Lives Matter claim on their website to be a Marxist organization too. There you go. There you go. 100% a Marxist organization. So how can somebody follow a bunch of Marxists who whose main job is to exploit um other companies or other places that are well established and put out their own ideologies for a new class order. How can you follow such an organization? Black Lives Matter is an evil organization ran by evil people. There's nothing to it. There's nothing. I mean, there's nothing positive about the Black Lives Matter organization. They're there to cause division, confusion, and chaos. That's what that organization is all about. Okay? Because keep in mind, they come out when it's perceived when a white person attacks a black person. Keep in mind, perceived, not proven, but perceived. Okay? But when a black person kills another black person, you want to know what you hear? Exactly. Crickets. When you have more than 1,800 black babies killed every day in the black womb because a black mother chooses to take herself to Planned Parenthood to murder the unborn child who doesn't have a voice, who didn't ask to be brought into this earth, and she chooses to dispose of of her own child. You want to know what you hear? Exactly, crickets. They make all of the noise when they perceive a white person attacking them. When it's perceived that a white person is attacking a black person. But whenever blacks attack blacks, whenever black women choose to murder the unborn child in her womb, crickets. Okay, these people are willing to go out. These Black Lives Matter supporters, they're willing to go out and riot, loot, steal, and kill other people because they perceive that white people are attacking them, that white police officers are just killing unarmed blacks, which is untrue. Truth of the matter is, statistically, there are more unarmed white people killed by police than unarmed blacks. You're not going to hear about any of these unarmed whites that are killed. You know why? Because that's not the narrative that the fake news mafia wants to portray. Fake news mafias such as CNN, MSDNC, NBC, ABC, CBS, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Huffington Post, Politico, the Philadelphia Inquirer, the Los Angeles Times. You go on and on and on and on and on. And even to a certain extent, Fox News. Okay. These people will never ever um put out the truth. Now, let me there's so many comments. Let me just scroll through these comments real quick because let me just go through this because I think these comments are very interesting. Dawn Parker has been giving out a lot of comments. Amazing. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Once again, you can be anywhere on this planet, and you chose to be on you chose to be a part of this broadcast. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much. Um, let's look at Dawn Parker's statement. Black Lives Matter are open Marxists, white man only, who would have just used them and then killed them. I'm telling you. Exclude normal things like homosexuality. Okay. That's from a recent statement. Also, it's Mrs. Biscuit. Okay, I will refer to you as Mrs. Biscuit. Hi, Mrs. Biscuit. Let's go here. So here's a statement by Mrs. Biscuit. I don't think things should be illegal if they're not harming anyone. It's only immoral by Christian standards, and I am a infertile woman. Does not mean I can't love someone because I can't reproduce. Okay, okay, Mrs. Biscuit. Um, I see you're two, and I raised you three. So once again, homosexuality. Um, homosexuality is something that is deemed that at one time was deemed immoral. Okay, but in a way, I catch your drift. You know, homosexuality is not hurting anyone. It's not. Granted, it's not hurting anyone. It is an alternative lifestyle. You have the choice to be a homosexual if you want to. But why are we grooming children to do so? Why are we having drag queen story time? Why? Something like that. Homosexuality really has no place in the public school system. Period. But once again, this is the government taking your tax dollars and wanting to groom your children into into immorality. Because again, homosexuality, while it doesn't hurt anybody, while it doesn't hurt anybody, as long as they're willing to, as long as they're within that consenting age to want to choose to be that way, it does hurt people that are groomed and are forced to accept that very lifestyle, which does not engage in procreation and that has a high suicide rate among the very people that choose to be homosexuals, which is something else that the Biden administration does not want to bring up. Let's look at these new comments right here. Dawn Parker asks, "Are animals gay?" Amazing. Amazing. Um, so this is from Mrs. Biscuit. If you're going by the Bible to say it's normal, just look at the verses condoning slavery and genocide. So it shouldn't be a modern base for morality. Something only wrong if it harms people. Um, obviously, I mean, if slavery, I mean, slavery. Can you really say? I mean, slavery was in the Bible. Yes, there were slaves, but can we say that all slaves were harmed? You get what I'm saying? So you can try to argue that basis, but even still, in the Bible it's that stated that that the slave masters should treat their slaves well, all right, and the slaves should treat their slave owners well as well. So let's go to Dawn Parker right here. I'll pretty much tell it like this. I'm an RN and I can tell you there's a difference in how they speak to black women and yet women when it comes to abortion. 100% true. 100% true. And the thing is, when it comes to abortion, they don't even try to talk you out of it. They don't try to talk the women out of it. Not to mention too, um, I also discovered that I guess while while the doctor is trying to read off the very things that they're asking. I mean that they are. I guess when the doctor tries to explain to the woman, what's going on and what's going to happen, they want them to be on Xanax while this is happening. Gee, I wonder why. Do you really think that if you're under the influence of drugs that you're going to make a a well um, educated decision or a well thought out decision when you're under the influence? I don't think so. They want this to happen because these Planned Parenthoods are federally funded. They're using our tax dollars to give the woman the chance to butcher the unborn child in her womb. Here is another comment from Mrs. Biscuit. Yes, I don't support exposing any kind of sexuality to children, and a lot of gay people don't either. But I don't see any reason why things like gay marriage should be illegal as that as that's between adults. Obviously, you can tell that Mrs. Biscuit has already admitted that. I don't believe that she's a Christian. Um Well, I can tell you this, Mrs. Biscuit. Show me in the Constitution where it says that men and women should be granted the right to marry each other. Again, if it's not stated in the Constitution, then yes, it should be up to the states to determine it. However, um, homosexuality is, at I know growing up, homosexuality, while I knew it was happening, it was a taboo subject. We knew that homosexuality was happening. We knew that men that men were having relationships with each other and women were having relationships with each other. But it wasn't something that was front based. Wasn't something that was promoted because again, something like this is abnormal. And I mean, really, it is abnormal behavior. If God made it to where men and women could be able to procreate together, then that would have been then homosexuality would be something that would be accepted. But think about it, okay? Truth be told, people that are homosexuals, a lot of the homosexuals that are homosexuals are not happy being homosexuals. Or as a matter of fact, I'll take it a step further. These homosexuals are really, really not homosexuals. They claim that they are. However, they want to go through the heterosexual route of having children. Meaning, granted, they are homosexuals, right? They are two men and two women, but they don't really accept the entire deal of being a homosexual because being a homosexual, you have to accept the fact that you cannot bear children. And yet these very people are choosing for and yet these very people are banking on a system that will allow heterosexuals to procreate so that they can be able to adopt. And they are looking to adopt because they cannot procreate. So think about that. People treat abortions like birth control these days. There's a significant portion of women that have multiple abortions in their life, according to the Guttmacher Institute. Once again, I mean, you want to make it all about the women. It's all about the women. What about the child? The child didn't ask to be brought into this world, and now you're going to just butcher the child because of your actions. Because these very women that are trying to get rid of their problem, the very women that look at us as a child, as an inconvenience instead of a child, now want to move on with their lives because they committed an act that put them in a position to bear a child. In the end, abortion is the most selfish thing that you can do because it's all about you. It's not about the very life that you are bringing in. The very life that should be breathing, that should be breathing under you, but you chose to get rid of it because you chose to be a slut. I mean, that's what it comes down to. If you don't want to bear children, don't put yourself in a position to bear children. It's that simple. Marry before you carry. The greatest birth control in the world is abstinence, which is something that's not being reported. But they want to put women on these very pills that can throw off their cycle and that can cause other health complications. Of course, they don't want to bring that up. The best birth control is abstinence. Stop women, Stop being sluts. If you stop being sluts, then you don't have to worry about having an inconvenience growing in you. Black women, it's always material things. White women, no one, no one with love you. Amazing. Here's Miss Biscuit. It wasn't in the Constitution because people back then didn't have the scientific studies we have on it. It's normality that we do now. Slavery was also allowed in the original Constitution. I don't believe slavery was allowed. Well, if you're speaking about if you're speaking about the 13th, I believe it's the 13th Amendment. I want to say I believe it's the 13th Amendment, which abolishes slavery unless you are imprisoned. So, common sense will tell you, don't commit crimes and you don't have to be a prisoner of the state. Simple. Also, once again, I'm infertile, so I can't procreate. Does that make me wrong or immoral if I have sex? Um, it does, considering that you're having sex out of wedlock. But because you're not a Christian, you wouldn't understand. Um, but honestly, I believe um that I mean honestly that's the way that it is. Now, in your case, obviously you're infertile, so you will be a special case. You know what I mean? I mean you would be an exception to a certain extent. Um, in the end, sex is meant for procreation. It's not meant for pleasure. People, a man and a woman were meant to have sex to procreate, but procreate the right way. All right, procreate to have children so that they could be able to actually have multiple children, so they can be able to have a legacy that they can then be able to pass on the very traditions of 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 the role of the nuclear family. That is the goal of really having of sex. I mean, sex for any other reason is really just immoral. I know abortion is an actual modern constant genocide. Yes, it is. The amendment abolished it, but the original Constitution, three-fifths clause says that slaves aren't full people. Right, but again, but again, I mean you know the Constitution was amended. So, you know, in the end, unless you're trying to tell me that you're a slave, that I'm a slave, or that anyone else is a slave, I can't see it. I mean, show the proof. Where's the proof that any of us today are slaves? Last time I checked, I don't have shackles on my feet or my hands. Um, I am not anybody's master. Um, and we all have the same rights that is granted upon any American. That's the reason why it kills me when the blacks claim that they are not free in a free country. Well, unless you can show me that you have shackles on your feet and on your arms, and that you answer to a slave master, I don't see it. You're living in your head. You're of your thoughts, which is of your father, the devil. Get out of your thoughts. Look at this. Amazing. Here's Dawn. When speaking about sex, what about the songs of Solomon? He described the love of the woman. Oh yes, this was Old Testament. Okay, I'm going to read one more of these statements. My point was you can't go by the morality of the times that the Constitution was written in to determine all laws because lots of immoral things now were moral back then. And keep in mind, moral back then. I mean, we also had the Old Testament where a lot of evil things happened, but that was the Old Testament. In the New Testament, there was a change of things. Amazing. This is amazing. But yes, this goes down to to what I was saying. The fact that we have no type of morality, and it's the morality that will be able to um to get us through and to make us better people and to appreciate this country. Keep in mind, this is the very country that gave us freedom of speech. Go to China, go to North Korea, um, go to Iran. Do you think you have the very rights that we have here? And yet you have people in this very country that are saying that they are oppressed and that they don't feel American and they are against America. But you know what? As 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 bad as that sounds, as anti-American as that sounds, as unpatriotic as that sounds, I support what they say. Do you know why? Because they have the freedom to say so. I support their right to say what they have to say. I don't support what they say. I totally disagree with what they're saying, but they have the right to say it. Amazing. This is amazing stuff. And and truth be told, the point that I guess that I'm trying to derive at is the simple fact that because we are in a fallen state, this is the reason why you see the things that you're seeing today. I mean, immorality out of control, crime rate out of control. Um, we have a wide open border because we don't believe in the law of the land. Um, inflation through the roof. Things have gone up about 7%. Gas has gone up 75%. Biden wants to blame it on Putin. It's Putin, Putin, Putin. He was the one that made us energy dependent on our very enemies. At one time, we were dependent on Russia for oil, and then Joe Biden wants to now take the very oil reserves that we have. The emergency oil that we will use in the event um, that we face any type of catastrophic event, and he's giving. I mean, he's selling our oil to China, the very country that wants to dominate us. Tell me who is on America's side right now? But that's for another discussion for another day. Thank you, Dawn Parker. Biden sold our oil to China. Yes, ma'am. He sold our oil to China, the very oil that we're supposed to use in order for us, in order for the price of gas to go down, which is nonsense. We're really just wasting our own oil. When we have several opportunities. Well, we have enough land to produce our own oil, which is something that the great white hope, Donald Trump, was putting us in position for. We were going to be energy independent. We were going to create, we were going to not only have our own oil, we were going to produce our own oil and and have the gas prices go way down. We were not only going to do that, but we were going to be able to export the very oil that we produce to other countries and make a profit off of that, and then be able to use that money to then support. To then support things that will make America even stronger. You know what I mean? Like our military, our more opportunity zones. Anything. This country would have been a country for all people to be able to enjoy. But instead, this is only going to be a country enjoyed by the elites. All right. Yes, us regular folks, we're complaining about oil. Do you know the very people that are not? The elites. The elites can afford it. Joe Biden can afford it. He's using our tax dollars to gas up the very motorcade that we're paying for. We pay for the motorcade when we're paying for the gas. So of course Joe Biden is out of touch when he says that gas prices are you know you know are in a good place. He's not the one paying for it. We are paying for it. We're paying for his ride. We're paying for the gas while the rest of us suffer. Amazing. This is where our country is headed. But I'm telling you, if people were to come back to God, all of this stuff that is happening, even though the government is responsible for most of it, we would be in a better place than where we are now. Because truth be told, yes, the government is trying to pit the races among each other. That's allowing all of these hatred acts to come about, such as the mass shootings. All right, that mainly is really committed by the blacks more than the whites. But the mass shootings that occurred, the mass shooting that happened in Buffalo, the mass shooting that the mass shooting that occurred in Buffalo, New York, and then the other mass shooting that occurred in suburban Illinois on 4th of July. It's all because of hatred. Because we have more hatred than love for one another. We need to return back to the Father. And through things and through the Father, all good things will come. Um, even for the ones that are Christian, even for the ones that are not Christian. In John 3:16, it stated, "For God loved the world so much, He sent His only Son to die for our sins. And if we believe in Him, we will not perish but live in everlasting life." Meaning that we can live an everlasting life within ourselves if we believe in Him. All good things will come. But because most people do not believe in Him, this is the reason why we have chaos that we have in this country. But it's amazing though. Um, crime rate. Speaking of that, crime rate is going through the roof. Crime rate is out of control. Um, uh, especially especially in a city that I once lived in Philadelphia. The homicide rate is up to 268. 268 people have died in the city of Philadelphia. It's amazing. Um, and once again, this are people killing people. These are angry people killing people. And the angry people that are killing people are the blacks. It's the blacks that are doing this. Keep in mind, 80% of the homicide victims are black. All right. Vast majority of the perpetrators are black. It's not white folks killing the blacks. It's the anger and hatred that they have for one another, to the point where you have young people wanting to kill the blacks. I mean, I'm sorry, young people wanting to kill elderly folks. And if you don't believe me, take a look at this.
73-year-old man in North Philadelphia. Action News has learned that the two minors wanted in connection with last month's brutal beating are expected to turn themselves into police today. Monday afternoon, Brian and Sarah are off. I'm Christy Aletto.
And I'm Jillian Mealy. The big story on Action News is the expected surrender of those two juveniles who were also siblings. Today, we spoke with the victims' relatives who are pleading for anyone with more information to come forward.
That's right. Action News reporter Walter Perez is live outside police headquarters with more on today's developments. Walter?
That's right, Christy and Jillian. Police officials tell us a lot of tip calls came in after they released that surveillance video last week, and police have actually spoken with several of the families of the young people involved in this case, so this investigation is moving in the right direction. Meanwhile, today, as you mentioned, we did sit down to speak with one of the victim's sisters. Elsie Stevens says news of the impending surrender of two of the people allegedly involved in the deadly attack against her brother comes as she still struggles with comprehending what happened.
When my parents died, I raised my brothers and sisters, and it's so sad. He lived that long, and these kids would take his life and beat him like he was nothing in the street.
This surveillance video shows how a group of 7 young people, most believed to be in their mid-teens, taunted and brutalized 73-year-old James Lambert, affectionately known as Simmy. Lambert was beaten to the ground with the use of a traffic cone while walking across Cecil B. Moore Avenue back on June 24th. The video shows how Mr. Lambert tried to get up and get away, only to get pummeled back into the pavement. He later died of his injuries. The victim's dear friend, Larry Kane, says there is no way that Simmy did anything to provoke these young people.
We spend a lot of time together during the daytime, and he's a very, very nice guy.
And Elsie Stevens now says she will not be able to rest until she knows that all of the people involved are behind bars.
Everybody that called me and talked to me, they just don't understand why these kids would do what they did to him. I can't do it.
And Larry Kane has this message for the people responsible.
For God's sakes, please stop harming people and turn yourself in.
Amazing. That's amazing stuff. Sorry about that, guys. I want to know, can you guys hear me? Right in the chat. Right in the chat if you can hear me. I don't know if I muted myself. I probably didn't mute myself, but amazing. It's amazing. Okay. So it looks like I am. Looks like we have some. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Amazing. So once again, could you have imagined this? KBM, thank you for joining the show. Appreciate it, sir. Could you have imagined a group of I mean, could you imagine a group of children wanting being able to commit and act like that? A group of children that only says one thing. All right? It says that the very thing that would stabilize this society is gone between a specific group. All right? Now, I want you guys to take a look at the video again. And I want you guys to see what is the common denominator in these very acts.
New developments in the violent attack that killed a 73-year-old man in North Philadelphia. Action News has learned that the two minors wanted in connection.
What is the common denominator? What are you seeing here? I see a black kid, black child, black kid, and another black. These are the blacks. Everybody wants to get on me for, for coming after the blacks. But look at the ones committing the crimes. Okay? The very dynamic that is missing in these young kids' lives is the family. And I wonder, it's funny to me. I wonder why all of these activists, all of these so-called activists that are here to try to defend the blacks because the blacks' rights are being violated, because the blacks are being harassed, are being harassed. All right, they're being shot down, they're being killed, they're being harassed all the time. I wonder why none of these activists tend to point the true problem that is occurring in the black that's occurring in the black community, which is the lack of family. Because what will make a bunch of teens think that it's normal to attack and beat an elderly man to death? Who in their right mind would desensitize that? Why would that even be considered normal? I'll tell you why it's normal. It's normal among children who grew up without a father in the household. You can you can criticize patriarchy all you want, but patriarchy is what stabilizes the family. With a strong with a strong fatherly figure in this household, this doesn't occur. These people are acting irrational and emotional, the same way that a woman would react. I'm sorry. That's the way it is.
With last month's brutal beating are expected to turn themselves into police today. Monday afternoon, Brian and Sarah are off. I'm Christy Aletto.
And I'm Jillian Mealy. The big story on Action.
I mean, that's the common denominator. The common denominator is no family. It's the family that is destroying. I mean, it's the lack of family that causes things like this. And not one single activist will bring that up. Not one single politician from the Biden administration will bring that up. Oh no, it's all about the whites attacking the blacks. Tell me something that white people have done to blacks that the blacks are not doing to themselves. I'll wait. Amazing. KBM says no fathers. It's the common denominator. No fathers. A strong a strong father presence. All right. Keep in mind, patriarchy is what not only did patriarchy successfully colonize this country, but patriarchy colonized the world. We had strong men who believed in putting in stability in order to make things work. You take that out of the household, or you take that out of any part of leadership, and what you have is an instability institution that is unsustainable. KBM also says, or fathers with no morals raising them. Thank you, KBM, so much. That's what it comes down to. All right. It's either the fathers. I mean, it's either there's no fathers or fathers with no morals. Absolutely. Which is just as that which is just as equivalent as no father in the household to begin with. Really, it's as if the father is just absent. The father's not there if the father's not involved. Um, and that's the truth. That is what we are missing. All right. When patriarchy existed, when there was an order, God in Christ, Christ the man, man over woman, woman over children, when when America followed that order, everything was stabilized, especially in the black community. You didn't see as many homicides as you've seen. But nowadays, the black community is filled with black individuals and no families. That's what the community is made of. It's made up of a bunch of individuals, single mothers, irresponsibly having children by different men, a bunch of sluts having baby children, babies children. You know the type of children that belong um in a in boarding school. Those type of children, children that belong in disciplinary schools, or worse, type of children that really belong in cages. They belong in prison. Especially if they're not able to realize the source of their anger and their behavior. Dawn Parker says, Black children, no fathers, 2 a.m., no direction, no love of God. Oh my goodness. I pick A, B, C, D, and E. I mean, take your choice. Mrs. Biscuit states, if the government stopped incentivizing single motherhood, maybe this wouldn't be as a big of a problem. I totally agree, 100%. But also, it's going to take the blacks to not participate in it as well. You know what I mean? They are, as far as I'm concerned, the black community and the government are 50-50 partners. Yes, yes, the government has this available. And yes, the government has a system that's causing this in the form of welfare. But who told the blacks to partake in it? No one told these people to partake in that. No expectations, of course. At the end of the day, the activists are more concerned about getting the bag. Couldn't agree with you more, sir. That's what it's all about. Your Al Sharptons, your Jesse Jacksons, BLM, your Ben Crumps, all of the so-called activists in Philadelphia, Juan Soto's, or whoever, all of these so-called black activists in America, your Pan-Africanists who claim to be activists, the very, very people that partake in the decay of the black community. They're all are using the blacks, exploiting the blacks' emotions for profit. And the blacks don't even realize that they're being used by these people. These very people who, by the way, do not live in their neighborhood. No, no, they live in a affluent, for most, gated communities. Most of these communities are populated by, you guessed it, white folks. And yet they are telling the blacks that they are victims of the white man. That is of the father, the devil. Amazing. Your your Phil Scotts. Thank you very much, KBM. Yes, sir. Appreciate it. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Okay, but instead, what you're going to hear, or what you heard from the victim's friend is, well, we need to stop killing each other. We need to we need to love each other. Listen, that is really not the message that's going to get through these people. All right. Truth of the matter is, you need to get to the source. All right. The best way to kill a snake is to cut the head off. You got, in order to rid this cancer. I mean, in order to rid this rattlesnake of anger and immorality among the blacks, you got to cut it off at the snake, at the head. All right. And what is the head? Lack of fathers in the fatherhood. All right. Lack of fathers in the household. Single parent homes. That needs to be cut off immediately. Stop partaking in a system that will continue to oppress you. When you're living on the government, you're living on the government's dime. Can you name one single person that has retired, a multimillionaire living on the government. I mean, unless you're willing to defraud the government, you're never going to see $1 million living off the government. But guess how you can be able to see $1 million? If you work one, two, or three jobs, take that very money, invest it in real capital that can make you money, and who knows, that can make you $1 million. I mean, you can take it and invest it in a working, a working stock, and you can blow up and become a multimillionaire immediately. Or you can start a business, an effective business that actually caters to the market. And maybe you won't be a millionaire overnight, but give yourself 5 or 10 years. You'll be there, especially through hard work. But of course, these are the very things that these elites do not want the blacks to be a part of. No. The reason being is because they're too busy exploiting them for profit. They're too busy exploiting their emotions for profit. That's how Black Lives Matter was able to raise $90 million. Can you name can you name one thing that they invested in the black community? I mean, even look at the very images that they used. The very images that they used, the very people that were supposed victims. Um the families didn't receive not one red cent. Trayvon Martin's family didn't receive anything. Breonna Taylor's family didn't receive anything. And the list goes on and on. Yet they were able to yet they were able to pocket $90 million. I mean, they were able to scam their way into your pockets based on your emotions. I thought you people would have learned your lesson from Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. You don't find those people credible, but yet Black Lives Matter comes in and they scream Black Lives Matter, and all of a sudden you people fell for a hook, sink, and line. They used your money to buy mansions. They used your money to throw parties in those mansions. They used that money to pay the father of their children with that type of money. Amazing. But they never used that money to actually build the black community. They never used that money to actually be able to rebuild the very communities that these black animals decided to tear down due to the rioting of a unemployed drug addict with a criminal record. Yes, I'm talking about George Floyd. Did Black Lives Matter ever put any money into those businesses, especially black businesses that were burned down or were looted? Yet you people donated $90 million to the cause. Amazing. And they warned you ahead of time that they were Marxists. And yet you people fell for it. Hook, sink, and line. Dawn Parker says there's a hell of a lot of political leaders. Amazing. Right. I mean, I can see Black Lives Matter going in and putting in money into the Democratic Party. They did that, but they didn't put not one red cent towards your community. I'm talking, and I'm speaking to the blacks. Not one red cent. Politicians make money off grifting. That is for sure. Floyd was also in a porn film. Wow, I didn't even know that. Thank you, KBM. Amazing. I would have nothing about Floyd was ever amazing. That is for sure. That is for sure. And yet, and yet George Floyd winds up, George Floyd was an unemployed drug addict with a criminal record. Who the reason why he even had interactions with the police is because you guessed it, he committed a crime. A man with an extensive criminal record that even involved um putting a gun to a woman. I mean, putting a loaded gun to a woman. A man with an extensive criminal record winds up getting in contact with the police for committing a crime because he chose to buy an item with counterfeit money, and because a police officer supposedly um put 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 a knee on his throat, even though there were camera angles that stated that really put his knee on his shoulder. Because he did that, and he supposedly died because of that. That was a reason for the blacks to go out and rob, loot, and destroy, all because of this perceived notion that the white man is after him. Listen, first of all, it's an isolated situation. And second of all, George Floyd didn't even die from the supposed knee on the neck. He died because he ingested twice the amount of fentanyl that he should have that he should have ingested. That's what killed him. George Floyd practically was suffocating inside. That's what killed him. Yet you people take a 10 or 15-second clip of the officer placing a knee on George Floyd's neck, and you take that as a reason that the white man is after you, that the white man is killing the blacks. You can't make this up. Amazing. It is amazing that you people can believe that that these very elites, um that these very elites, the Democratic Party, and all these so-called activists that are telling you that it's the white man that's the problem, and you people just eat it up as if it's something real. Keep in mind, whether or not George Floyd was killed unjustly, that was George Floyd's. I mean, that is the issue of George Floyd. That was an isolated situation. But once again, keep in mind, all of these blacks that went out and robbed and looted and destroyed property and businesses, they already had it in their mindset to do so. They were just trying to use an outcry to do so. And they used the George Floyd situation to go out and rob, steal, and some of them even killed. Keep in mind, David Dorn, a retired police officer, was killed in the riots. No mention of him, no statue of him. Yet George Floyd, a known, a career criminal, an unemployed drug addict with an extensive criminal record, gets a statue somewhere in Trenton, New Jersey. A stupid looking statue on top of that. But yet he is immoralized. They look at him as if he is um a saint, a martyr. I mean, they view him in the same limelight as Martin Luther King. This was a convicted, I mean, this was criminal, a convicted criminal, a criminal, a peon, a miscreant. Yet he gets immoralized with the statue, while David Dorn, a person who was out there and wanted to protect the people from the riots, he gets killed by these Black Lives Matter thugs, and he gets no mention. This is our country. This is our very country. And then you have a guy like Joe Biden who comes in and supports all of this. He supports George Floyd being a martyr. He supports um, unjustified unrest in this country. He was the one that stated, he's the one, who, um, who put Juneteenth into law. I mean, how divisive can you get from that? Unnecessary things. Um, he's also the same person that states that we need to stop white supremacy in this country. Joe Biden stating that white supremacy is suppressing the blacks. This guy, the very guy that can't even read a teleprompter right. If you don't believe me, watch this.
Thank you all very much. And
At the White House.
Wrong one.
That the percentage of women who registered power, it is noteworthy that the percentage of women who registered to vote and cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line. It is noteworthy that the percentage of women who registered to vote and cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line.
Amazing. Amazing. Yes. That's the type of leadership that we're in. I mean, this is a man that can't even read the teleprompter. I mean, come on. My goodness. I mean, can you at least pretend that you know what you're speaking of, Joe? But they don't call him Sleepy Joe for nothing. I was so upset when David Dorn got almost no press, only some Black Lives Matter apparently. 100% true. 100% true. They should go from saying Black Lives Matter to stating some Black Lives Matter, because when you put out a broad statement, a broad a broad title like Black Lives Matter, the initial understanding is that you assume that all Black lives matter, including the Black lives that are taken by the blacks in numerous numbers, a lot more a lot more than white police officers killing blacks. As a matter of fact, here's a known fact. All right. Um there were 7,000 black homicides in 2020. 7,000. There were more black homicides that were at the result of other blacks. There were more black murders committed by the blacks than black homicides committed by the Ku Klux Klan in its entire existence. And the Ku Klux Klan has been around since the late 1800s. All right. Close to 3,700 blacks were killed in the hands of the Ku Klux Klan in its entire existence. 2020, 7,000 black people were killed at the hands of other blacks. That nearly doubles the amount of blacks that were killed. Nearly doubles the amount of blacks that were killed in the entire existence of the Ku Klux Klan. Who is so where does the problem lay? Where does the threat lay? If you ask me, um, white folks are not your problem. Dawn Parker states, "White guilt, Joe Biden." He said, Biden should be in a nursing home. Totally agree. Oppression. Take away the tools needed for success, like education, money management, vocational education. Yeah, I mean that these are the very things that the communists will want. Is once you take away the power of the people, and the people are powerless, especially people within a specific class and within a specific ethnic group. 7,000. Wow, how sad. How sad indeed, Dawn. How sad indeed. 7,000 black people were killed at the hands of other blacks. There were more blacks killed by other blacks than blacks killed in the entire existence of the Ku Klux Klan. But yet, you'll hear most blacks, not all, but most blacks stating that it's white supremacy and white racism that are killing the blacks. Yet it doesn't stop the blacks from stating that, oh, that that there are more. I mean that there are more police officers killing unarmed blacks. It doesn't stop the blacks from saying every single day we are getting killed. We can't come outside. Again, these are the blacks speaking on their feelings and not on proof. Ask them, show them to prove it. Where's the proof? You know, the blacks can say all they want, that the white cops are killing the unarmed blacks, but they can't name not one single unarmed white person that was killed by police officers. They can and they won't. Amazing. So true. But this is something that the media will not put out. This is something that the Biden administration will not put out. The only way that we are going to be able to come to um, any type of moral ground is for people, for all people, but including the blacks, to stop walking around with this victim mentality. Start appreciating this country. Love this country. Love the fact that you're a patriot. And you will start to see more people um not engaging in this type of chaotic warfare that we're seeing among the people. This is the reason why we are the laughing stock of this country. We believe it's better to put transgenders and homosexuals and women into positions that they can't handle. We think that's more important to put homosexuals and women and transgenders into higher positions than to put qualified people. Qualified people. This is the reason why we are the laughing stock of this country. Nobody takes us serious anymore. We're all about being politically correct in this country rather than standing on the principles that made this country great and made this country strong. Dawn says, being from the South, I've never seen a KKK person. Here you have it. Where are they, by the way? Where are all these white supremacists? I mean, you even hear the blacks even stating that there's systemic um white white supremacy or some nonsense that they're saying, or systemic racism. White supremacy reigns supreme. Where is it at? Show me. Look at this. This year, 60 whites have been killed by cops, 28 blacks killed by cops. I rest my case. I rest my case. Where is this ideology that the blacks are being gunned down by police. Where? Show me where. Show me the evidence. Where's the proof? Thank you, Dawn. Thank you very much. Look at that. This year, 60 white people have been killed by cops, 28. Meanwhile, 28 blacks were killed by cops. Who's gunning down who? But yet you don't hear white people wimping and whining and complaining and moaning and bitching about being victims. And granted, some of and granted, the 60 white people that were killed by police, right? Um, we don't know for sure if it was, if it was justified or not. But the bottom line is you won't hear about this. You won't hear about these white people being killed by cops through the media. I mean, you have to search through local media to even find out that something like this has happened. And the reason why they don't want to portray this is because it doesn't fit their narrative. Keep in mind, the media is not your friend. They are considered the thought police. They want to tell you how to think. All right. Um, Project Veritas, which is an amazing they do an amazing job in underground journalism. This group was able to get um CNN producers. I mean, they were able to get a well-known CNN anchor called Van Jones. He was able to get him on audio admitting that the Trump Russia collusion that CNN kept bringing up time and time and time again was a nothing burger. He was there. I want you guys to look it up on Project Veritas. Van Jones admitting to an underground Project Veritas journalist that the Trump Russia collusion was all made up. It was all lies. Trump said it from day one. It was all lies. But we had the smoking gun. The smoking gun. Van Jones was on audio and video admitting that the Trump Russia collusion, keep saying conclusion, that the Trump Russia collusion was a nothing burger. It was all made up. It was all lies. And yet you people ate it up and gave it a reason to hate Trump because Trump was a liar. The great white hope, Donald Trump. By the way, be on the lookout. I will be doing a monologue video on Donald Trump to kick off White History Month. Um, because Donald Trump really is a man of courage. I mean, this was a man that they impeached not once but twice. They tried to get him out of the White House not once but twice. They tried to get him out of the White House even though he was already on his way out of office. And they tried to impeach that man because they knew how much of a threat he was to the swamp that we call Washington D.C. The very swamp that he tried to drain. But he knew that he was coming up against people that were lifelong politicians. And it's hard when you're battling on your own. I mean, when you're battling people in your own party who are going against the very morals and the very values that will benefit the American people, the very policies that will benefit the American people, you know you have a problem in your hands. But the one thing that the Great White Hope was able to do, he was able to expose the very swamp that is infesting Washington D.C. and they're on both sides. Just put it just 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 leave with this message, okay? Put it like this. Anyone that voted to impeach the Great White Hope, those people are enemies of America. And if you are a Republican, do yourself a favor and vote these people out. These people do not have your best interest at hand. These are the very people that are working alongside the Democrats to suppress your constitutional rights as an American. Because anyone that tries to, I mean, because a vote against the great white hope Donald Trump is a vote against America. A vote to try to get rid of Donald Trump is a vote against America and Americans. Mrs. Biscuit writes, actual white supremacists are such a small fringe group, so I don't understand the fear mongering. Thank you very much, Mrs. Biscuit. So true, because it's a state of the mind. Why are you even worried about it? True, I'm sure there are white supremacist groups, but do they play a factor in people's lives? Are these white supremacists preventing you from owning a house if you're black? From owning a car if you're black, from owning a bank account if you're black, from owning a business if you're black? Again, you're granted the same rights. They can think whatever they want. They can't take those rights away from you. And there are laws on the books that make it to where they can't even attack you. But thank you. Thank you very much, Mrs. Biscuit. Again, it's the American people that have their priorities out of order. It's more about being a social justice warrior than being a patriot of this country. For the very country that granted you the rights for you to even have the freedom of speech, why wouldn't you be grateful for this country? Ask not what you can do for this. Ask not what the country has done for you, but what can you do for this country that granted you the rights to be a free citizen, to be able to pursue um, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. A nation that says we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dawn also writes, I love PV and Daily Wire. I'm honestly, I mean, I love groups that speak the truth. And that's what we need nowadays because we don't have a lot of truth seekers. Um, at one time when I was into the black thing, I used to believe all of this hype that the blacks were bringing about. And it wasn't until the China virus hit, and I realized that the very politicians were using this as an excuse to want to get us to do the very things that they wanted us to do. For instance, getting an experimental vaccine. As a free country, how can you force someone to get something that should be optional? And if and I looked at that and I said, wow, they're trying to use this the China virus to suppress our rights, telling telling people that they need to wear a mask. For what? Then it was wear a mask, then you have to wear two masks, then you have to wear two masks and a vaccine. And I realized, okay, this is what they're doing. Not to mention they tried to use that. They tried to use the fact that you needed to wear a mask and get a vaccine and implemented it upon things that we thought we would take, that we thought we could do for free. For instance, you don't get the vaccine, okay, you can't go into a restaurant. You can't you can't visit a gym. You can't get your driver's license. You can't get on the airport. You can't go anywhere other than where you're at. That's what I realized. Okay, if people are willing to exchange their rights for safety, then we don't deserve to have rights. That's when it changed. That's when it changed for me. They say my body, my choice, when in fact they want to kill a baby's body, yet no, your body, your choice when it comes to vaccines. Oh, Mrs. Biscuit, right on the money. Thank you, Mrs. Biscuit. Exactly. Okay. Again, the hypocrites from the far left. So hypocritical. Oh, my body, my choice when it comes to butchering the unborn child in the womb. Oh, but when it comes to the vaccine, oh no. You don't have a choice. You have a body, but no choice. Gee, I wonder why. But that idea should be should be emphasized regardless. That should be emphasized regardless, right? My body, my choice. We're free to make the decisions that we want to make. Oh, my body, my choice when it comes to ending a life, but when it comes to taking an experimental vaccine in which in which um in which more people in which we can say that the risk definitely outweighs the rewards of getting the vaccine. Oh no. You have to take the vaccine. And trust me, anyone that is for forcing people to take the vaccine, these people are anti-American. Once again, anti-American. These people need to leave my country. The very people who hate America. If you hate America so much, get out of my country. All right? That's how we can make America great again. All these anti-Americans need to leave. But yes, my body, my choice when it comes to murdering the unborn child in her womb. But when it comes to a vaccine, oh, no, you have to take the vaccine. How come we can't implement my body, my choice when it comes to that? I mean, it's your body. You should be able to decide what you can and cannot put in your body. Now, for all people that want to get the vaccine, fine. That should be your choice. It should also be your choice to not get the vaccine. When I found out that they were politicizing the vaccine and the mask, even though we found out later on, and it even came from the CDC's mouth that cloth masks and the bandanas, the very things that they were forcing people to wear. When we found out that it was ineffective and yet they were still making you want to wear it, that's when I realized, okay, these people are trying to fearmonger and they want us to revoke our rights to invoke safety. Oh no, I will never ever revoke my rights as a US citizen. I will instead invoke my right. And I have the right to choose what I want to put in my body and what I don't want to put in my body. Amazing. But this is going wow, this is going on for about 2 hours. An amazing discussion. I appreciate everyone that viewed in to to the live broad stream. Um Stay tuned. I'll have some other things planned, and it's going to be amazing. This is only the beginning uh for this channel. I'm hoping to get out and put out more content for you guys to see, and I want people to take it and see for yourself. So this was nice. I like the coming out. I like the fact that people that the people came out to view this. Um, and and obviously this expect more. Expect more this weekend. Expect more this week. I will be putting out a monologue of the Great White Hope, Donald Trump, as he will be the part of of the conservatives collage of White History Month as we will commemorate this month. for that. Also, um, I want you guys to know that since this was a good outing, that I plan on putting out a live broadcast every week. Um, Normally this broadcast should have been posted yesterday, but some things came up, so I had to push it to tonight. So expect a live broadcast every week. Um, I'm gonna come out with another topic to explain. I'm gonna be able to put out. I mean, I'm also gonna be able to and then we'll be able to make a discussion, and hopefully, you guys will be able to also uh call into the show as well. I'll figure that out. But this was amazing. Uh, for everyone that's tuned in, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and happy White History Month, and also happy, happy. Past Fourth of July, and we will and obviously thank you guys for for tuning in. You could have been anywhere else in the world, and you chose to be to view this live broadcast. So I can't help but to thank the very people who tuned in. And with that being said, this is the conservative, and I'm signing out. Um, I'm gonna read a couple of these real quick before we go out. 2 hours cool. Thank you for the time and sharing. No problem, Dawn. Expect expect a live broadcast every week, and hopefully you'll be able to tune in. I appreciate it. And here is Miss Biscuit. Thank you for the interesting discussion. We may disagree on a few minor things, but this was very well interesting, and I'll be supporting your channel, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mrs. Biscuit. That's all we're asking. That's all we're asking is to have a discussion among things, and I like going back and forth with people, because maybe there's something that you'll be able to share with me that I'll be able to learn, and maybe it'll be something that I can be able to share with you that you'll be able to learn. You know, it's all about just having healthy conversations, even if we disagree. But it's a conversation that we should have. I think one thing that we can agree on for sure is that the more we come back to loving this country, the more this country will come together. It's not about Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, Latino lives matter, Asian lives matter, all lives matter. American lives matter. We all count as Americans, and we should support one another and love one another. And the more that we do that, then the more this country will come together. Don't listen to these politicians that are about division. It's all about division, dividing. If you were to go to certain parts of America, especially the South, if you go into the deep South, the real South, you're not going to see any of this division. You'll be surprised. Contrary to what you may hear about the so-called KKK being around and white supremacist groups. By the way, keep in mind these are the people that are stating that these people and these groups may exist in the South have never been down the South, especially they never been down to parts of the South where supposedly all of these things um, exist. I can tell you this: the one thing that you will see is unity among the races. It will blow your mind if you were to go down to the South and see the very interactions that you see among the people. Dawn says, "Happy MAGA month! Happy MAGA month!" Amen. From Mrs. Biscuit, thank you, Mrs. Biscuit. God's love matter, and we're gonna leave out on that understanding. All right. So once again, this is D Conservative and signing out. Have a blessed day, guys. Amazing.